पर्यटन विभाग की ओर से मैं कवलजीत कौर आप सभी सम्मानित अतिथियों का अफ्रीकी दिवस 2024 के उपलक्ष्य में आयोजित अफ्रीका में डिजिटल विकास पर एक
However, challenges such as the digital divide and cybersecurity threats persist. The conference provides a platform for all interested people to collaborate, exchange ideas, and seek solutions.
यह सम्मेलन अफ्रीका की तीव्र डिजिटल परिवर्तन की ओर बढ़ते कदमों की पृष्ठभूमि पर आधारित है। इस डिजिटल क्रांति में वित्त, स्वास्थ्य, शिक्षा, कृषि क्षेत्र का पुनर्निर्माण हुआ है। हालांकि डिजिटल विभाजन और साइबर सुरक्षा जैसे खतरों की चुनौतियां अभी भी मौजूद हैं। यह सम्मेलन सभी लोगों को सहयोग, विचारों का आदान प्रदान और समाधान खोजने के लिए एक मंच प्रदान करता है।
We extend our warm welcome to all the dignitaries, faculty of
भारत
Humanitarian
के अन्य हिस्सों से आए विद्वानों का, शोधार्थियों का और विश्वविद्यालय के साथियों का हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं।
Now I request Professor Gajendra Singh sir to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Vikas Gupta sir, with a shawl and applause.
अब सम्मानित अतिथि डॉक्टर कुल सचिव विकास गुप्ता जी का शॉल और पौधा से स्वागत करें।
His Excellency Mr. Demeke Atnafu, Ambulo, Ambassador of Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to India, the Embassy of Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, with a shawl and a plaque.
अब मैं प्रोफेसर
Sir.
Keynote speaker, Dr. Rishi Mohan Bhatnagar sir, a renowned business and technology leader.
That's okay.
गुरुजन कर लगे छात्र और छात्राएं दीक्षित सदजनी प्राचार्य पावन साधना संकल्प संयम प्रबल दर्शन चेतना नवक्रांत संस्कारों का उद्गम जयति जय जय जयति जय जय ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम श्रेष्ठ सुंदर दिव्य दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय विहंगम जयति जय जय जयति जय जय ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम।
On the behalf of the Department of African History, I would like to express my gratitude and warm welcome to our chief guest, His Excellency Mr. Demeke Atnafu Ambulo, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to India, Embassy of Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Our guest of honor, Dr. Vikas Gupta ji, Registrar, University of Delhi. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Rishi Mohan Bhatnagar ji, business leader, mentor and author. My fellow colleagues, dear scholars and students, media persons, good morning and welcome in the department. We are organizing this day-long international conference on digital growth in Africa to celebrate Africa Day with an aim to offer all scholars and academicians a crucial opportunity to participate, improve, learn, discuss and acquire new knowledge. I would take this opportunity to formalize you all with the Department of African History, first Prime Minister of India and formally inaugurated on August 16, 1955 with a mandate to promoting awareness about Africa. The department undertakes multidisciplinary teaching and research study leading to MA in African Study and PhD degree programs in University of Delhi, along with certificate and diploma in Swahili language. The department going to introduce one new course from this academic session, postgraduate diploma in international trade with Africa. The department provides a forum for fostering mutual understanding, friendship and cooperation between people of India and Africa. The department extends beyond its primary function of acquisition and dissemination of knowledge to promotion of India-Africa relations. The department provides opportunity to research scholars to interact with the different stakeholders including policy makers, business community and other foreign delegates. African Study is an area study program which involves multidisciplinary teaching and research. Apart from traditional classroom teaching, interactive pedagogy is pursued through student engagement in presentation, discussion and other academic interactions. The department regularly organizes international level special lecture series as a part of celebration of centenary year of University of Delhi and Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to commemorate the 75th year of India independence and vision for Viksit Bharat 2047. The department also published a biannual peer-reviewed academic journal dedicated to multidisciplinary research on Africa known as Indian Journal of African Study. Once again, on the behalf of the department, I would like to thank all the distinguished guests for taking out time from their busy schedule and to all other for their active participation. Thank you. विशेष रूप से मैं एक बात और कहना चाहता हूँ, विशेष रूप से मैं रजिस्ट्रार सर का तहे दिल से धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ कि अपने बिजी शेड्यूल के अलावा सर के पैर में फ्रैक्चर है, सर के नी में भी चोट लगी है, उसके बावजूद भी हमारा इनविटेशन स्वीकार किया सर ने। उसके लिए हम डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से तहे दिल से आपका स्वागत करते हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Dr. Vikas Gupta sir, Registrar of University of Delhi, He began his career as a lecturer in electronics at AISD College, University of Delhi. Over the years, he has had numerous significant positions, including Founder Senior Director at National Testing Agency, MHRD, Joint Secretary of the University Grant Commission, Director of Distance Education Council, Joint Secretary of CBSE, and Regional Officer for the Northeast region, and Assistant Director of AICTE. He holds various other achievements.
Thank you so much. A very good morning to all of you. The Chief Guest of today's function, His Excellency Mr. Demeke, Ambulo, Ambassador Extraordinary to India, Embassy of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Keynote speaker for today's Dr. Rishi Mohan Bhatnagar, business and technology leader, mentor, author, and humanitarian. My dear friend, Professor Gajendra Singh, Head, Department of Human Studies. The distinguished faculty members, Professor Suresh, Dr. Rashmi Kapoor, Professor Rajesh Ji from Adult and Continuing Education, the distinguished students, research scholars, and my colleague, Rishi from Administration, who happens to be a student of Department of Human Studies as a research scholar. I heartily congratulate Africa for their African Day, which was on 25th May. When we planned this program, Professor Gajendra told me, I was not aware of this African Day. I just called through Google and then I came to know why this African Day is celebrated on 5th of May. And that was a day of election in our state of Delhi. So that is why we could not plan it on 25th and we planned it today. But other interesting thing which I noted today is that I was not even aware that Department of Indian Studies would organize an international conference on digital growth. In Africa, that's okay. But the concept of digital growth is a different concept. But how it falls under the domain of the Department of Human Studies, it was difficult for me to understand. The digital growth is inevitable. The explosion in the ICT, information communication technology, we cannot say where it is going to reach. There is no end to it because every day the new developments, the technological advancements are taking place. When we see our country, and the motto which we have was there to come to embrace everybody as family. So Africa is definitely a family for us, and all the students of Africa are our own children. When we talk of the topic of digital growth, I remember a time in 1997, I was assistant director at Holiday Council for Technical Education. That was the first time when the computers were introduced in the government. Computers came very late in India, in school teaching. It was, I think, in 82 or 83, the school teaching started for computers. At that time, the basic programming was started. So that was a very experimental stage. And when it was introduced for the first time, in 1997, there was lot of human pride amongst the government servants. Why the pride was there? That an impression was created that when the computers would be there, the manpower would be reduced. And there was a fear factor amongst all of us that because of job cut, many would lose their jobs. But now you see the time today. Now, computer has become an excuse also. If an employee does not have a computer with them, they will simply put an excuse. He said, I cannot do this work or I could not complete this work because my computer was spoiled. Now see this change in the time or the paradigm shift which has taken place because of digital growth. All of you are having a mobile with you. In your mobile, you have all sorts of information, which is only possible with the technological advancement in ICT. What role the digital growth is going to take place in Africa? that outcome of this conference would be very beneficial for both the countries, for our country as well as African country. Because when we see from the education perspective, when we see digital growth, what we see that what barriers are there which are not allowing the students to get education at the best possible extent. But with the advancement in digital growth of ICT, we will be able to reach to every nook and corner of the entire world. And India is committed, the Bharat is committed to provide education to everyone, as we treat everyone as our own family. I wish Professor Bhatnagar Singh the best of luck for today's conference. I would love to see the outcome of this conference in that what changes are needed in the structure of this Department of African Studies. What more we have to put in is that Department of African Studies should expand their wings not only to Africa in providing education but also to other parts of the countries. Conference. I'm thankful to Rishi Bhatnagar ji. I'm thankful to organizers for inviting me to this program. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
To invite our distinguished chief guest, His Excellency Demeke Atnafu Ambulo. His education at Himpashu Senior and Maishal followed by Junior Secondary at the Lady School in the
Dr. Vikas Gupta, Registrar of this program, Ray Lumina, University of the Warwick, Delhi University, distinguished academic professors, students, and the participants. Good morning. Let me at the outset start by extending my sincere thanks to Professor Bhatnagar Singh, Head of Department of African Studies, for inviting me to be chief guest and to address this important international conference aimed at celebrating the African Day. I wish also to extend our sincere thanks and a profound appreciation for the department to celebrate African Day, which is a clear testament of the deep-rooted bond that exists between India and Africa. It is again a testament of how utmost importance the Delhi University has accorded to India-Africa cooperation and the partnership. We are greatly thankful for that, and I'm deeply honored to be part of this program. Before going to the topic, as a diplomat, it would be remiss, or I will not do just if I don't say a few things about the African Day. Before that, the Year of Africa. If you go to the history of Africa, there is African Day, May 25, but many of the scholars don't want to talk about the year, African Year, which is called as 1916 in the history of Africa, being known as the African Year. Why it is being called as African Year? As you know, since the Berlin Conference of 1884-85, with the scramble to partition Africa, Africa came under the colonial rule, except Ethiopia and Liberia. Then the decolonization process of Africa mainly started gradually after the end of the Second World War. And in 1960s, more than 17 African countries gained their independence. In 1 year, there were in 1960, there were a series of events which led different African countries who are under the colonial rule. More than 17 African countries gained their independence. Because of this year is being called as the African Year, 1960, now 1960. This year highlighted a growing Pan-African sentiment across Africa. Africa is still under colonial rule, and the Pan-African sentiment is growing up with the liberation and the independence of African countries. 17 African countries in 1 year. It marked a significant milestone in the decolonization process. And it signals that colonialism will come an end to Africa. So that is why we call 1960 as an African year. For that, the only country, as you know, the victory of Adwa, where Ethiopians have defeated the Italian colonial powers on March 1, 1896. They were attempted by colonials to colonize Ethiopia, but Ethiopians have resisted heroically and they defeated in 1896. The victory of Adwa. It was the first defeat of the European colonial power by a black African country's armies. That victory of Adwa had provided an inspiration and hope for the liberation movements in Africa. All the countries under colonial power, they came to know why. Is it possible to defeat the colonialism? And they took an inspiration and hope in the national liberation movement against colonialism. It inspired pride, not only in Africa, but all across black people throughout the world. During the colonial struggle against or independence, they used Ethiopia as a symbol. And when many African countries became independent, you can see many of African countries have adopted the Ethiopian national flag, which is green, yellow, and red in different sizes. So, we were never colonized, we don't have a national day, but we have a victory day that provides. That is why, then after 1960s, a number of African countries become independent. Though there was a talk among African countries how to come together to end colonialism from Africa and to create a united African state. So, in May 25, 1963, all independent African countries, there are, at that time, 33 African countries became independent. They gathered in Addis Ababa, they found an organization called Organization of African Union. So, May 25, 1963 is a day of African Day declared because it was a day where African Union, Organization of African Union before, now African Union was founded. African Union has a noble cause, objective, political objective, social and economic. What it achieved a lot was brought together Africans and eradicated colonialism from Africa. It had brought an end the white minority rule in Southern Africa region. And African Union evolved to, Organization of African Union evolved to African Union in 2002. Now we call this African Union. Came up with a number of agenda items. So, when we are commemorating May 25, it is a day where the Organization of African Union was founded in Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa became the political diplomatic capital of Africa, and now Addis Ababa is the third largest diplomatic center in the world after New York and Geneva. A number of international organizations for Africa, regional organizations for Africa, they are based in Addis Ababa. And Addis became the diplomatic and the political center of the African Union. So coming to this today's topic, it is very important for Africa. We cannot achieve inclusive and sustainable development of Africa without using digitalization. You know that an African Continental Free Trade Area was founded. It is one of the largest single free trade area in the world when it comes to the member states, 55 member states, continental continental-wide market. The idea was to increase intra-Africa trade, intra-movement of peoples and the service among African countries friendly. To achieve that, without using digitalization, it cannot be achievable. So digitalization is very important, crucial for the realization of the African Union Agenda 2063 and that of the realization of the African Intercontinental Free Trade Area to facilitate movement of peoples and the service freely among African countries. So digitalization at the continental level is very important. It presents also unprecedented opportunity to drive inclusive and sustainable growth. In recent times, we can witness there is an increase in the growth of digital growth with the expansion of mobile connectivity, with proliferation of e-commerce platforms, emergence of tech startups, and so on. When we see the African mobile penetration is more than 41%, more than 40. The internet users of Africa is more than 30%. Now the use of mobile money is increasing, while revolutionizing financial inclusivity and empowering small and medium enterprises, unlocking new opportunity for small and medium enterprises and business in Africa. The e-commerce platforms, the mobile marketplaces, digital are coming up in Africa. They were giving access, huge access for goods and service, for customers to have a wide range of products, especially for small and medium enterprise. They were giving wider market access to them. So in Africa, the digital grows in every aspect for societal development, economic growth and development, for the transformation of the continent is very important and crucial. When it comes to Ethiopia, in Ethiopia, it was given top priority by the government. We have a national digital transformation council led by the Prime Minister. We have a national digital transformation plan for 10 years. We have a digital strategy called 2025, where to make Ethiopia, the whole economy, the whole service, whatever digital society. It was aimed that the digitally enabled pathway to foster inclusive national prosperity. It is a core of everything, whether it is in agriculture, whether it is education, whether it is learning, whether it is delivering public service, whether it is in health. Digitalization is the core of everything. For a realization of this, Ministry of Technology and Innovation was set up by the government, which is coordinating the implementation of the digital strategy, the National Digital Transformation Plan of 10 years. At the national level, there is a ministry which is following up the implementation of this plan. When we see in Ethiopia also, we have the mobile users are reaching 85 million now. One of the largest. We have 127 million population. Out of this population, the mobile users are 85 million. The internet users are in Ethiopia now, 41 million Ethiopians are using internet. Mobile banking users are 32 million Ethiopians are using mobile. In the financial inclusivity, we have 14 fintech companies. In all, the contribution of Indian companies is so immense. If you go to more than 32 banks in Ethiopia, almost all they are using Indian technology. They are using with Indians. We are now coming up with it. For 127 million, we are going to have a national digital ID by the Indian company. So the Indian's contribution to prosperity to achieve a long, sustainable, inclusive development, digitalization is not a choice, but it is a necessity in the world and in this sector. Given the deep-rooted, long-standing historical relationship that so happily exists between India and Africa, I think it is time India to further enhance, expand their engagement with the private and the public in upgrading, in enhancing and cementing the digital growth in Africa. In this regard, university like Delhi, which is preeminent university, which is now for all over, if you go to Africa, people on the streets know about their university and their universities. So the Delhi University can take a lead in order how to further enhance the engagement of Indian companies in expanding and developing, digital growth in Africa. And we look forward to see the university and other academic institutions to come forward with a modality on order how to expand the Ethiopia and India-Africa relationship in digital growth sector. And thank you for your kind attention. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
धन्यवाद His Excellency.
Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Evans spanning 2 decades in the information technology sector. He has constantly driven sustainable revenue growth through initiatives in Internet of Things and Smart City development. Yes.
Because many of you are here and that place won't be able to show that long. That's why I thought that here will be better. So His Excellency Mr. Demeke, Ambulo, Chief Guest, Vice Chancellor, President Sindhi, and my good friends. First of all, I really want to thank and congratulate President Sindhi. I met him around 2 years back. I had come here for some function, some ceremony in the research college, and I had an opportunity to come and meet him. And that was the time when we were discussing about what is happening, when this department was formed, how this department is formed, and many things. So today when we were studying about a new course starting of the trade promotion, I see how it has grown. Okay, I was talking to map, and I was asking what usually the people do after studying from here. And how many of them goes to the FICCIs and CII and the corporate world, where the corporate world really needs people like you to understand Africa. My first experience, because first you heard about from the academicians, then the diplomat, now I'm coming from industry and technology. I'm the chairperson for the IET Future Tech panel for the whole future technology. I am one of the 4 members of the Prime Minister's Committee for Technology. So, I got an opportunity to talk to all of you, and especially for Africa. So, in late 2010, 2009, I'm sure you all must have heard that Bharti Airtel acquired Zain. Right? There were 17 countries in Zain where the operations were. And from India, Bharti Airtel, being one of the largest telecom operator, acquired an African telecom company. But when they acquired, then they realized there are 17 countries. All of them have all their regulations. We have a Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. There are now 17 Telecom Regulatory Authority. Many of them have different languages. Many of them have very kind of different kind of systems. Why they didn't realize before acquiring it? Because no one had somebody like you who had understood that we are going through 17 countries and there will be complexity on it. But for me, I was part of Tech Mahindra at that time. Tech Mahindra used to provide services to Airtel, being a telecom service provider. and they had acquired a company called Comviva. And Comviva was the one which was implementing mobile money in all the African countries. And I am the one who was implementing on their behalf. And that time when I heard about mobile money, I felt that they are far ahead of digital in comparison to India. But they were doing what we have as a mobile money today. So why this? So when we are talking about currently about a digital Africa, no problem. Yeah. Sorry. I am the one who was implementing mobile money in Africa, and there used to be a competition between the Vodafone group of companies, which is Safaricom, Vodafone in different countries, and Airtel, which was Zain that time. Sorry? Zain. Yeah. So with that kind of level, that means the country, the group of countries, 54, 55 countries, which had the dividend of the population, demographic, educated people, growing of economy, okay, newly independent, I'm using the word newly independent, trying to get all the processes clear, and then trying to use the industry. So only industry that used to go to from here to that part of the world used to be tractors from Mahindra's and Tata's buses. Okay. Most of those kind of things were used to get exported, but not the services and technology. But slowly things have improved. I was the CEO of an American company, and I just want to share what the kind of project we were doing in Africa and all the African countries. That was tractor on a service. Okay? So the company was Hello Tractor. The Hello Tractor company was headquartered in Nigeria, and they had operations across all 54 countries, where the farmers can have a tractor on rent, and all the billing will happen online of how much plowing you have done and how much you are supposed to pay. The whole technology was implemented and executed and still running in Africa. Now we have to start thinking that how things have changed and why things have changed. Because in India, we were at that time also far behind where the African continent was as per the digital technology is concerned. And that's what I thought, and I must let you all know, because I'm part of it. I have implemented it and have seen it going. And the tractor as a service, you can go and see the Hello Tractor. It's a very well-known brand there, and in every state, every country, most of them are using it. The bikes will have, for the medical facilities, if the vaccines are supposed to go, they are going into cold storage, and everything is digitalized, Internet of Things enabled, all tracking that. Okay? And I'm talking about this around 10 years back. And there are still areas in India where this is not there. So when I start thinking that these kind of technologies were there across globe, but why this happened slowly in India and now it is getting pace everywhere. Many of you are very young, but if you start thinking around the 1990s, we used to have a floppy 1.44 MB, 1.2 MB, and that used to have a cost. Today we have a small pen drive and the cost is very low. The computers used to be in an AC room. There will be only 2 or 3 in the lab, and everybody will have to take a permission and take an appointment or some time for it. The cost of hardware, whether sensors or devices, were extremely high. So the storage was high, the sensors were high, the availability of computing facilities were low, okay? And the network connectivity was extremely poor, and the knowledge of the IT applications was also not much. Today, in India at least, 4G, 2G is still running, 4G, and now 5G is coming. We have a huge network availability, and the cost of network in India is the lowest, and Africa is also not very high. In terms of the sensors and the hardware, the cost has significantly gone down from the chip. The mobile manufacturing, everything is low. storage is low, connectivity is low, connectivity is available, and the IT application. The reduction of the cost has improved significantly the utilization and the consumption of the digital technologies. And we have to start thinking that why suddenly these things have happened. And because the cost has gone down, it is now accessible to each and every person in the world. And and this has brought lots and lots of more opportunities for the businesses in India to go and utilize that growing infrastructure and provide services to that part of the world which is really willing to have knowledge sharing or the experience sharing of people like us. We are culturally very similar. Food-wise, we are very similar. And we have a large history of common things. Now we have to see from the academia perspective there is a growth. How on the business perspective, especially from the technology side, there has to be growth. Again, I want to tell you, which you might be surprised, Rwanda as a country is turning out to be the Silicon Valley of Africa. Most of the technology enhancements which are not happening in India are happening in Rwanda, and similarly in Silicon Valley. And people sometimes sitting here in this part of the world or any other part of the world feels that we have to support them. But that's not always true. There are so many areas where they can support us. And Rwanda is a country which has gone far ahead as far as technology is concerned, and the amount of unicorns, especially in the technology state, are so many that I'm interested in inviting some of the companies there to come as a keynote speaker in my technology forums and technology conferences. Okay? And that's the level where we need to learn how that country has grown and become a Silicon Valley in Africa. So from Aadhaar to internet, all those kind of things, what we have been able to do, we'll be able to bring that.
Morning all, ladies and gentlemen. Really it's a fantastic day to start the digital development in Africa, and we are having three great speakers, good speakers to know through them about digital growth in Africa. So we draw to close this first session, that means inaugural session, to this day-long conference on digital growth in Africa. It's my honor and privilege to vote of thanks. Firstly, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our guest of honor, Dr. Vikas Gupta sir, Registrar. He talked about that he didn't know that why the Department of African History is doing conference like digital growth in Africa. Sir, this is the ESG department, and we are having so many PhDs from commerce and economics also. So we are have ample scope to discuss all these things. Thank you very much, sir, for coming and this occasion. After that, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our chief guest, His Excellency Mr. Demeke, Atnafu, Ambulo, Ambassador of Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Sir, your insightful remark on the important role of digital growth in diagnosing socio-economic development across Africa has set up a powerful tone for this conference, and you mentioned so many things. It's not possible that I reiterate so many things, but you started a very good tone, that history of Africa, and you came to the history of Ethiopia and the importance of the Africa Day. And sir, it's a privilege that you know that we also celebrated the Ethiopia Day on 28th May. So this department is a unique day, 28th. Thank you, sir, that you are depicted as a good teacher right now in front of my scholars. Thank you very much, sir, for your enlightenment. And you also talked about Agenda 2063, and we are working on that agenda, how we connect Africa and India with all these things. And remarkable data, 85 million internet in Ethiopia, 45 million people using internet, 52 million people using mobile services are fascinating, and 14 fintech that was assisted by the Indian companies. Thank you, sir, and definitely we encourage our PhD students to deal with all these things. Thank you very much, sir, for coming and this in this occasion. And finally, a very special thanks to our keynote speaker, Dr. Rishi Mohan Bhatnagar, had provided a wonderful, profound understanding and so many new things about the India-Africa relation and about how we inculcate a relationship with India and Africa. And a wonderful story about the mobile and how you develop the mobile technology in Africa. And so we are not late. 2009 and 2017 you just mentioned, India introduced the mobile money, etc. But after 1984 we started this process, but some lack of understanding between the human and the administration. Maybe this was the reason that we are lacking towards the ideas. And you talk about the floppy pen drive. We used to use floppies, but now these days I don't think floppies is just like the archival material. So thank you, sir, for giving us a wonderful depiction and the story of Rwanda. Few students are talking on Rwanda, and sir, the most important thing that Rwanda, after genocide 1994, Rwanda had a good time with the inculcate the digital diplomacy laws. Thank you, sir, for giving us this all kind of ideas. My special thanks to Mr. Gajendra Singh, the head of and coordinator of this seminar. In these 10 days, his ideas about this seminar, because in 10 days we are not going to conduct this seminar, international seminar, and the huge success because everybody here, despite the chilling hot heat, not chilling, hot heat outside. So thank you, our head, and round of applause for our head. So thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. So I would like to acknowledge the effort of convener Dr. Rafi Kapoor and for her brilliant work to conduct this seminar. And big thanks to all my senior faculty members, Professor Suresh Kumar, Professor Yarundam, and the special thanks to all the organizers here. And lastly, yes, and my supervisor and the former head of this department, Sir Tilman Prasad, is also there. So my special thanks to Sir Tilman Prasad, sir, for coming, and so many colleagues from how you conduct this seminar. As we conclude this inaugural session, let us take with us the knowledge and idea exchange today and work together to better digital growth and development in Africa. Together we can do so many things. So thank you very much for having. But one my question, how the digital growth, this is the important thing, to develop the human potential and the connectivity between India and Africa. This is the tone and the gesture of this seminar. So thank you for coming, and a big applause for our
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए तब जय गाथा।
Good afternoon to all of you. स्पेशली हमारे जो डिग्निटरीज हैं आज की वेरिटी सेक्शन में। जैसा कि सुबह से हमारा डे लॉन्ग कॉन्फ्रेंस ये चल रहा है, मॉर्निंग सेशन में हमारे जो चीफ गेस्ट थे हाई कमिश्नर अतनाफू जी थे, डेमोक्रेटिक रिपब्लिक इथियोपिया, हमारे गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर डॉक्टर विकास गुप्ता जी, रजिस्ट्रार यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली, कीनोट स्पीकर ऋषि मोहन भटनागर जी थे। उसके बाद में लगातार हमारे पैरेलल 3 सेशन चले हैं और 3 जो टोटल सेशन हुए हैं उसमें 8 सेशन में हमारे मोर देन 50 पेपर्स अभी पढ़े गए हैं सर। और उसमें हमारे जो दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी के स्पेशली सोशल साइंस के जो डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं उनके अलावा अलग अलग यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के फैकल्टी मेंबर्स और रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स ने अपने पेपर पढ़े हैं। इसमें हमारे हरियाणा की कुछ यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, उत्तर प्रदेश से हैं, दिल्ली की भी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, जहाँ से इवन कुछ रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स हमारे महाराष्ट्र से, बेंगलोर से, अलग अलग जगह से आए हैं। मैं उन सब का भी स्वागत करता हूँ। तो सुबह से अब तक हमने की है। जहाँ तक हमारे डिपार्टमेंट का सवाल है, 1954 में डिपार्टमेंट एस्टैब्लिश हुआ, पीपल वी कैन कनेक्ट अफ्रीका इन ए बेटर वे। तो हमारी लगातार कोशिश रही है और इसी कोशिश में एक और चरण ये है कि आज हम डिजिटल ग्रोथ इन अफ्रीका पर हमारी 1 दिन की डे लॉन्ग कॉन्फ्रेंस को हमने वैलिडिटी सेक्शन तक पहुंचाया है। एक बार फिर मैं आप सबका डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
मैं आई थिंक लैंग्वेज इज नॉट ए प्रॉब्लम, हिंदी में बोलूँ, मिक्स बोलूँ। सो ये जो टॉपिक है, I was looking at this topic since I am working in the Ministry of Communications. Ministry of Communications have 2 departments. One is Department of Telecommunications and the other is Department of Post. And दोनों के communication से related हैं। Particularly जो Department of Telecom है वो digital growth का basic infrastructure का रोल प्ले करता है। आपका जो डिपार्टमेंट है अफ्रीकन स्टडीज़ का, मैं एजेंसी को कॉन्ग्रेचुलेट कर रहा था कि आपने बड़ा रेलेवेंट टॉपिक चूज किया डिजिटल ग्रोथ के बारे में। इट्स अ वंडरफुल टॉपिक, वेरी रेलेवेंट। आपने जैसे सुना होगा कि मैं डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन में भी मैंने काम किया हुआ है एंड आई वाज लुकिंग आफ्टर ऑल NITs, नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, 31 NITs and there was no more institutions. I was also instrumental in initiating the new education policy. It started actually during my tenure. तो क्योंकि मैं एजुकेशन देख चुका हूँ, मैं IT से हूँ, तो I know a bit about education and I know a bit about the digital infrastructure, digital growth. So basing on my knowledge, basing my arguments on the knowledge and of course the experience which I gained over the years working in these departments, I'll tell you few things. India जो हमारा एक्चुअली एक चीज बिफोर आई बिगिन ऑन द सब्जेक्ट, मैं कुछ बात को एक बार टेक अप करता हूँ। मैंने कहा कि द टॉपिक इज़ वेरी वेरी रेलेवेंट। टॉपिक इज़ रेलेवेंट बिकॉज एक फंडामेंटल चीज़ है, क्योंकि मैं पॉलिसी बनाते रहे हम लोग एजुकेशन मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ HRD तब कहलाता था, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन कहलाता है। एक हम लोगों का कंसर्न हमेशा एजुकेशन में ही रहता था कि हमारे जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं वो ऐसी चीज़ पढ़ें जो हमारी सोसाइटी से रिलेटेड हमारे सोशल कंट्रीब्यूशन कर सकें। पर्टिकुलरली स्टूडेंट्स दोज हु आर डूइंग PhDs, जो रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, ये कंसर्न मिनिस्ट्री का हमेशा से रहा। मिनिस्ट्री इज स्पेंडिंग लॉट ऑफ मनी, गवर्नमेंट इज स्पेंडिंग लॉट ऑफ मनी पेइंग स्टाइपेंड्स एंड फेलोशिप टू PhD स्टूडेंट्स कि हमारी जो रिसर्च निकल के आए इससे दैट शुड बी रेलेवेंट, दैट शुड कंसर्न दी कंट्री, द प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ द कंट्री। हमारी सोसाइटी में बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, हमारा कंट्री में बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, इश्यूज़ हैं। हमारी रिसर्च ऐसी होना चाहिए जो रेलेवेंट हो और उनको एड्रेस करे। उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में डिजिटल ग्रोथ का सब्जेक्ट इज वेरी 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 रेलेवेंट। सो आई विश कि कुछ बच्चे जो PhD करने वाले हैं, अगर ऑलरेडी उन्होंने या कर रहे हैं और उन्होंने अभी तक टॉपिक डिसाइड नहीं किया है, दे कैन एक्चुअली डिसाइड सच टॉपिक्स, इट विल बी वेरी वेरी यूजफुल। देयर आर चैलेंजेस इन डिजिटल ग्रोथ। इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ यह है कि जो सहारन कंट्री है, जो हमारे अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज हैं, उनका टोटल अफ्रीका की जो पॉपुलेशन है ऑलमोस्ट सेम, सिमिलर टू अस। They are 1.5 billion and we are 1.4 billion. As a country we have those many, that much population. हमारा जो टरेन है वो भी उनसे मिलता जुलता है, बिकॉज हमारे चैलेंजेस और उनके चैलेंजेस इस मामले में सेम हैं। बट अभी आई वॉज लुकिंग एट द डेटा, जो चीज़ें वो है अपना मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी, इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी है। हमारा अफ्रीकन कंट्री में जो कनेक्टिविटी है अभी भी वहाँ पर सोचिए कि 1.5 बिलियन में से 900 मिलियन यानी 90 करोड़, 150 करोड़ में से 90 करोड़ लोग अभी भी ऐसे हैं जिनके पास इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है। इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी डिजिटल ग्रोथ के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। इसको हम लोग आजकल एक वर्ड यूज़ करने लगे, दैट इज कॉल्ड डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, DPI। और व्हाट इज डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर? डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ना केवल इंटरनेट और मोबाइल फोन कनेक्टिविटी है, बट ऑल्सो द सपोर्टिंग सर्विसेज। जो सपोर्टिंग सर्विसेज हैं वो ICT हम लोग यूज़ करते हैं, इंफॉर्मेशन कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी की सर्विसेज। फॉर एग्जांपल UPI, आप लोग जो पेटीएम यूज़ करते हैं, GPay यूज़ करते हैं, दैट इज UPI, राइट? सो दैट इज एक्चुअली पार्ट ऑफ डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर। टेलीकॉम फैसिलिटेटर है एंड जिसके ऊपर ये सर्विसेज बिल्ड होती हैं, तो ये DPI का आजकल जो DPI है, डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, it has become very very important for all countries, developed as well as developing country. अब मैं आपको अफ्रीकन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ही बात करता हूँ, फिर देन हम लोगों ने जो हमारे जो इंडियन एक्सपीरियंस है उसको मैं उससे रिलेट करूँगा। अफ्रीका इज लाइक इंडिया। एक सिमिलरिटी और है कि जो हमारा उनके पास भी एज डिविडेंड है, उनकी पॉपुलेशन जो है जिसको बोलते हैं लोग डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, उनकी पॉपुलेशन इज ऑल्सो यंग लाइक अस। दे आर स्टिल यंगर देन अस, अगर कंपैरिजन ही करना है तो स्लाइटली यंगर देन अस। सो व्हाट इट डज शो इज फॉर द टाइम टू कम उनकी पॉपुलेशन ग्रो कर रही है, और आने वाले समय में उनकी जो पॉपुलेशन जो यंग होगी, those who can contribute towards the world, that segment is going to grow, वो बढ़ने वाला है। So that's a good thing। हमारे देश में भी हम लोग डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड है, हमारे लोग यंग ज़्यादा हैं। तो जब कभी मैं देखता हूँ अक्सर कि मैं जब कभी फ्लाइट लाइन में बैठता हूँ तो आई नॉर्मली सी मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर यंगर देन मी। सो ये जो है दो इट हिट्स यार आप कितने एज हो गई है, बट दिस इज व्हाट इट इज। सो हमारी कंट्री भी बहुत यंग है, लेकिन एक उसमें एक चैलेंज आता है, अफ्रीका को वो चैलेंज फेस करना पड़ेगा। हम लोग उस चैलेंज को फेस कर रहे हैं कि जब पॉपुलेशन यंग होती है, आप जैसे यंग लोग जब मार्केट में आएंगे, दे शुड एक्चुअली गेट दी जॉब्स। अगर आपको जॉब नहीं मिलेगा, इस पॉपुलेशन को, अफ्रीका इज ऑल्सो स्ट्रगलिंग विद दिस, हमारी इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन इज बेटर देन देम, बट सेम प्रॉब्लम वहाँ भी है कि अगर ये बच्चे जब मार्केट में आएंगे और उनको अगर जॉब नहीं मिलेगा तो क्या चैलेंज होगा। तो इसलिए जॉब क्रिएशन इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। ना जॉब क्रिएशन की बात मैं इसलिए कर रहा हूँ कि डिजिटल ग्रोथ विल ब्रिंग द जॉब्स। इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ के लिए जॉब आएंगे कहाँ से? बड़ा सिंपल प्रिंसिपल रहता है इकोनॉमिक्स, हम सब लोगों ने स्कूल में पढ़ा है कि इकोनॉमिक्स सस्टेन द जॉब्स, इट जनरेट्स द जॉब्स। इकोनॉमिक आज की डेट में इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट वर्ल्ड में किसी भी कंट्री का वो तब होगा जब हमारा डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर होगा अच्छा, और वो डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आएगा डिजिटल ग्रोथ। इसलिए मैं कह रहा था कि आपका टॉपिक बहुत रेलेवेंट है। ये देखिए, मैं यहाँ चूँकि स्टूडेंट्स बैठे उनको मैं आइडिया दे रहा हूँ, ये एक रिसर्च का टॉपिक है, और आप इसका छोटा सा हिस्सा भी उठा लीजिए। डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर किस तरह GDP ग्रोथ में हेल्प करता है, या किस तरह से आपका जो है एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन कैसे करता है। ये ऐसे बढ़िया रिसर्च के टॉपिक है। अब ये चीज़ जो है अफ्रीका में, लेकिन एक चैलेंज और है अफ्रीका में, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि इंटरनेट पेनिट्रेशन लो है। अब आपका वहाँ पर डिजिटल, उसको हम लोग अपनी लैंग्वेज बोलते हैं डिजिटल डिवाइड, जो आपने वर्ड सुना होगा, दिस इज कॉल्ड डिजिटल डिवाइड। So digital divide is basically nothing but somebody who has access to the internet or digital services and somebody who does not have the access. So that is digital divide. डिजिटल डिवाइड में भी फिर फर्दर उसमें एक इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट होता है, दिल्ली एक ऐसा एरिया है जो जिसकी आपको मैं बताता हूँ, जो हमारी दिल्ली डेंसिटी है दिल्ली की इज 3 times देन दैट ऑफ कंट्री से 3 गुना ज़्यादा है। तो आपको अपैरेंटली ये लगेगा कि यार इसका मतलब तो दिल्ली में बहुत अच्छी एक्सेस होना चाहिए, पर मैं आपको बताता हूँ दिल्ली में भी कुछ ऐसे पॉकेट्स हैं जहाँ मोबाइल की पेनिट्रेशन पुअर है, जहाँ कनेक्टिविटी पुअर है, जहाँ इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी पुअर है। सो दैट इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द डिजिटल डिवाइड। तो अफ्रीका को चैलेंज ये है कि जो उसका डिजिटल डिवाइड है उसको ब्रिज करना है। तो वो जब तक वो ब्रिज नहीं होगा तब तक उसका इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट नहीं होगा। वो अगर इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट नहीं होगा तो जो हमारी ग्रोइंग पॉपुलेशन है विच इज एस्पायरिंग फॉर द एजुकेशन एज वेल एज जॉब्स, दे विल बी फेसिंग दी स्ट्रेस। और अगर उनको स्ट्रेस और डिस्ट्रेस होगा तो द कंट्री एज ए होल, कंट्री को भी डिस्टेबलाइज होने की एक चांस होता है। Please look at this factor कि how many countries.
नमस्कार, Dr. Sanjeev Sharma ji, example of the program. See, you have this is the electric program means you have successfully you have completed your content. So for that I congratulate you. And many endeavor your country cannot. Therefore, means you will have to focus on digital side. Means for that, means whenever Dr. Sanjeev Sharma is saying all these things, all these data they have given, means here, means one thing is that it should be more practical than theoretical. And for that reason, you will have to have proper knowledge about that one. In a simple way, somebody will say that, okay, you will lay person will say that, okay, you will go to digital mode and everything will be real. It's like that. It has already told that how many players are playing into that game. So therefore you will have, because you are the academic, you are in the academics, you will have to discuss all these things. You will have to identify what are the problems we are facing in the digital world. First of all, you will have to identify them. It's just like he has already told that, okay, the government has identified all the problems. If something is government is supporting, means he has identified all these problems, and after that he is taking action in that direction. So similarly, we the research scholars will have to have proper knowledge about that one, what is the digital system, how to grow, and what type of mechanism will have to grow, and what type of policy will be given. If this just before that, I was taking that, okay, this is the journal, it is the peer review. Here, I am talking about, I was telling that, okay, means you should improve yourself. It is a simple way in the peer review. And you should grow yourself so that it should be the scopus one and good journals, good knowledge will become. So after that, some ethics will be there. It's a simple way. It cannot destroy the ecosystem. Means anywhere and everywhere you cannot start anything. So for that, you should have to follow certain ethics. It's everywhere. It's earlier countries, they are having their own ethics. You will have to follow that. After that, then the stewardship is coming. Means what is your responsibility?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Also, and our scholars. I'm also the secretarial staff of this guest house and the university at large, and also our chief guest and chief speakers, and also all panelists and chairs, and also all the scholars.
Thank you, to facilitate our sponsors nominee, I would like to call Dr. Gajendra sir to facilitate our sponsors nominee, Dr.
भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा चल जलधि तरंग तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
गेस्ट हाउस इंजीनियरिंग डिपार्टमेंट और उन तमाम अपने साथियों का धन्यवाद करता हूँ जिन्होंने बड़ी इतनी गर्मी में लगातार काम करते हुए इस कॉन्फ्रेंस को सक्सेसफुल बनाया है। वंस अगेन थैंक यू वेरी मच। आप सभी को फोटोग्राफ के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूँ, उसके बाद हम सब मिल के चाय पिएंगे।